They're already roughly 25 million ahead. They've made all their money back for production and marketing. They're 25 million in the black, and we're kind of just getting started. They probably have another $200 to $250 million at least in net rentals coming back from theaters, assuming this movie reaches the $1 billion retail threshold here. Warner Brothers will have basically made a 100% ROI, return on investment, or more on this film, which is
Renegade Online.
awesome for a film like this. This is something Disney wishes they could do. Let me ask you guys, as far as where do each of y'all think predictions, where is Minecraft going to wind up in terms of domestic versus global box office? What are y'all thinking right now with 2 weekends in the bag?
I would put this slightly above where Despicable Me ended up, whatever the last Despicable
About $1 billion,
Me
man.
got to.
I think it's going to hit $1 billion, but I think you were right at the earlier part when you said it's probably going to just fall in behind Super Mario, because I think Mario's just going to have just a little bit more legs to it at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we're wrong. Maybe this thing legs out even farther yet. Because what's the next big thing to come out? Stitch? That comes out what at the end of the
big thing? I was going to say Thunderbolts.
Oh no, Thunderbolts. Yeah, So I keep forgetting that Stitch comes out at the end of May. I keep thinking it's the end of this month.
Yeah, it's the same time.
Because nobody remembers Thunderbolts because it's crap.
Honestly, I think Disney is stupid not to open Lilo and Stitch on Easter weekend. That's why I keep thinking.
You were right. If I'm
a marketing person, I'm going, we have probably what is our biggest movie of the year besides Avatar.
And a big window.
And a big window right there. And a 4 or 5 day weekend for a lot of people and a lot of kids.
Yeah.
Let's put this thing open it Wednesday before Easter. Yeah. That movie makes $200 million.
But they haven't done that in a few years, though, Tom. That's been the thing. Think about Disney's release.
That's why you should do
as
it.
Far back 5, 6, 7 years, as far back as I can remember right now. They've had a February release, and a lot of this has been, gilded towards the MCU or a Disney live action release. But you've had a February MCU. You've had an early May MCU, even back to Infinity War and Endgame. And then you would have like a March kind of release like Snow White, like a live action.
Yeah, I would have pushed
anything at Easter, unless Easter fell early enough to where it landed in March in timing with kind of a usual March Disney release. But yeah, as far as an April, like a deliberately April scheduled release, I can't remember the last time we've had a major Disney production that is
but they're opening it over Memorial Day weekend, I think, which isn't a bad day. I'm not going to say that's
great
not
weekend
a bad
to do
day.
Yeah.
But it's less than a month after they opened the Thunderbolts. If I was them, I would have pushed that to Memorial Day.
Yeah.
And opened this on Easter. And then you had all that time where this movie's just making hand over fist. And not only that, you would have socked it to Minecraft. Because Minecraft would have hit that speed bump coming into this next weekend.
But
I don't think there's anything to trip it up.
You're right, Tom, but I don't think they thought Minecraft was going to cook their goose.
No, nobody did. Right. Even Warner Brothers was taken off guard by how much this is. It basically probably saved Pam Abdi and Mike DeLuca's job at this point.
Yeah, no, 100%.
So
100%.
Okay, so a little short of where that was. I'll put it this way. So let me pull this up. This is where we are now. $550 million is the estimate through the end of this weekend with the updated international.
That's what I'm saying. It's going to make $1 billion. No way it's not.
I'm a little bit more reserved on this. I think considering where it is now, I think it's going to get very close to $1 billion. It still has a certain chance of getting to $1 billion. No question. I think it might fall a little bit short. I'm a little curious, and this is the only thing, because this is a hard movie to get a beat on. By this point, I think by the end of the second weekend, Super Mario Brothers was at about, I want to say 6 something, if I'm not mistaken. And that went up to 1.3. Super Mario Brothers was a really popular movie in terms of the audiences just loved it and they went back to see it again and again. A lot of Minecraft's audience seems to be centered around the meme ability of it, right? And I don't know how long that lasts. I mean, look, teenagers' attention spans, they're basically like a mosquito in August in Louisiana.
Oh, boy.
They don't go long. right? We're here on a second weekend. How much longer can this drag out? And again, once we get to May 2nd, and this
Well,
is key with Thunderbolts, it's not about the degradation of Minecraft or that Thunderbolts is going to be some big movie. It's not. But the
I don't
fact
think it's
is
going
that,
to make a difference. No.
well,
So-
Thunderbolts
so
is going to
let-
automatically make a difference because they're going to take over the PLFs.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as like whether it would have, I don't think it's going to affect Minecraft. Because here's what I'm saying. I see what you're saying. Yes, the teenage craze might fall off. This is going beyond that because I've talked to a few people now who are convinced that that's what this box office is all about. And I'm like, no, it can't be.
No,
Because
it's
you're
really
seeing
not.
parents, you're seeing kids. All week it's been filling up. There's been people like
Yeah.
honestly, if anything, and this is one of the reasons why I figured King of Kings might do well, besides the obvious, is that it was going to get some of the spillover.
Yeah.
Because none of these kids are going to want to sit through fucking Snow White. Let's be real. Like,
No,
So-
Snow White's done.
who would?
Right. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So
We'll get to that
just,
next.
and I'm gonna share more of my own anecdotes on this. Taking my kids to see this. My wife passed because she thought, why would I go see what looks like a horrible movie? My kids were laughing out loud the entire time. The last time that I saw a meme related to film attendance was either Barbie, which is a
Mhm.
completely different audience.
Yep.
There were the young men dressing up to the nines to go out to see Despicable Me. Movies that have it, but that doesn't have staying power. That's just something you do once. There are TikTok trends that are just now hitting the news that have to do with this. Like they're getting national coverage. They've recut the disclaimer at the beginning of this film to acknowledge that people are throwing popcorn. They said
Yeah.
popcorn buckets are not ender pearls. Which,
Please do not commit assault, right?
right.
Yeah.
It does have a musical aspect because of Jack Black. Mark Mothersbaugh did the soundtrack. I actually enjoyed this movie quite a bit because I could see in it what it was trying to be, which is a big budget film starring Jack Black from the director of Napoleon Dynamite. That's the important thing. If you compare it to the way that Napoleon Dynamite had an impact in the early 2000s, I don't know. I can see this giving this movie a lot longer staying power than it normally would, and the fact that it's a kid movie. So there could be that kid audience that would keep showing up if they left it in theaters, on top of the meme audience that might try to do more trends.
See, that's the thing is we'll know when it comes through Easter. Sorry, Jonas. I was going to say because I think
you're fine. There's
I
one
think
more
the
thing I'll add when you're
Easter,
done.
if it plays through that, that's all I was going to say is that I think will show us whether this has legs or not.
Yeah.
I think
And
that's
then
a
there
big
is
part of
whether
it.
or not Warner Brothers wants to pull the kill switch and put it on PVOD for a huge check.
No, Warner Brothers, David Zaslav and his crew there, if you remember, we covered this live. I know you guys know this. I'm saying this for the audience. I mean, some of the first comments out of David Zaslav's mouth and his team that came in, like JB Perrette and these new guys at Warner Brothers that were running streaming and distribution, the first thing they said back in, what was it, May of 2022? It was one of the, I mean, I've never had an audience like, I think 3,000 people live on YouTube watching us cover that first David Zaslav earnings call. It was crazy. The first thing that said was this whole idea of collapsing, all of the post-theatrical window into a 30-day slate and then going to streaming is stupid. And this is not going to happen again. Basically throwing Jason Kilar and the previous Warner Brothers regime under the bus, righteously throwing them under the bus because of the damage they did to theatrical exhibition, to the studio itself, and just to the industry at large. I don't see that happening. I think Zaslav will look at it. As long as the grosses continue to be crazy good in the box office, now they may make an announcement of when it will hit PVOD, but I think Zaslav's looking at this right now and thinking there's probably no way that we would go to PVOD for at least 60 days, or at least 90 days since it was released in theaters. I think if he goes any below 60 days, then I'll call it right now that it was a huge mistake from their standpoint. I don't think they're going to do that. And then let it hang on PVOD for like a month. And when I say PVOD, I mean $20, buy it, $7, rent it, whatever. Let it hang on PVOD on iTunes and everything else for at least a month before you consider dumping it on Max.
I wouldn't be surprised if this is a $30 PVOD.
Why not? I mean, people will buy it. They will pay it. You will have early adopters out there that will gladly go, I got to get the chicken jockey thing at home now.
Yeah, and I think all of that's true, but I still think, and I'm with you, Valiant, I think it's still going to fall short of $1 billion, but not by much.
I'm thinking 950 to 975.
And I was a little lower than that, saying 910, because by the time we get around to week 6, week 7, it has competition finally. And while it might not be strong competition, oof, Disney sucks right now. But
It's still got plenty of runoff. And look,
yeah,
here's
yeah.
the thing, though, and this is what I want to remind folks of. In fact, let me pull this up. This is where this is why it's hard to get a beat on. The only reason I think that it will go over $1 billion is if the performance in 2 key countries really lights it up and surprises me, which it has a strong potential to do. Guys, it doesn't open in Japan for another 2 weeks.
Wow.
Okay. It doesn't open in South Korea for another 2 weeks.
Wow.
So we still have 2 of the biggest video gaming markets, 2 big Minecraft markets, as a matter of fact, Japan and South Korea. I mean, those 2 countries combined could theoretically pull in $100 million in gross revenues over its run. I would not be at all surprised.
If only they made a StarCraft movie.
Oh my God. Somebody call Blizzard. No, but I mean, look, let me show you what I'm talking about here, just to kind of give you an idea. And this is where I'm a little, this is a real hard movie to get a beat on because of this wild internet memeing popularity of the popcorn stuff and all the craziness in the theaters. I think it could easily go over $1 billion. I could also make just as big of an argument as to why I think it could fall slightly short of it. And that's what's been difficult to really get a handle on. Because like I said, my brain thinks, how can I logically explain both sides of this argument? And that's where I get in a twist here. Because this movie is not really following any typical patterns, or at least not normal patterns, just usually observed patterns. Here's Minecraft, here's Mario. Let's look at everything here. Let's go down the list. See right where we are right now. By the time we got to the second Sunday, now granted, Mario had a 2-day head start because it started on a Wednesday versus a Friday, but be that as it may, 280 for Minecraft. At this same point, Super Mario Brothers was about $70 million ahead domestically, $70 million ahead. Even though the 3-day weekend for Minecraft at 163 was bigger than the 3-day weekend for Mario. There was, again, one started on a Wednesday. This one started on a Friday. I cautioned people last week when we talked about this. This is not an apples to apples comparison. Bear that in mind. Yes, it beat Mario on a straight first 3-day Friday through Sunday, but Mario already had a $70 million, $50 million motor was. Maybe, yeah, by the time we got to the end, it was about a $40 to $50 million head start, because of Wednesday and Thursday, right? A true Wednesday and Thursday, not a preview Thursday. Full first open days opening up right before Easter. So even at the end of the first Sunday, Mario was 40 million ahead, 42 million ahead, given that. You come down now, Mario is now 70 million, roughly 73 million ahead based on estimates. So the distance between Mario and Minecraft has actually expanded week over week, meaning Mario has pulled further away from the leg out length of what we gotten from Minecraft. I'm not taking anything away from the unmitigated success of the Minecraft movie, right? Right now, a Minecraft movie right here is at 550 million globally. That means that probably somewhere to the tune of about 225 to 230 million, because it's a little bit more boosted to the domestic side than international. There's some Chinese box office in here, although it's not an outsized amount. I think China is at, where are we at right now with China? I don't know if this includes 20 million through this weekend. So not even 10% of the international box office coming from China, right? 275 million has made its way back to Warner Brothers so far for this film. Assuming that Warner Brothers came in on target, spent $150 million on the Minecraft movie's production, maybe another $100 million on global marketing. And I think that would be the extreme high end. I'm trying to give Warner Brothers worst case scenario math here, right? 250 million all in costs. They're already in the money. They're already roughly 25 million ahead. They've made all their money back for production and marketing. They're 25 million in the black, and we're kind of just getting started. They probably have another $200 to $250 million at least in net rentals coming back from theaters. Meaning, assuming this movie reaches the $1 billion retail threshold here, Warner Brothers will have basically made a 100% ROI, return on investment, or more on this film, which is awesome for a film like this. This is something Disney wishes they could do. Guys, your thoughts? I'm sorry, I went on too long there.
In looking at Despicable Me 4, and I think this movie has more potential than Despicable Me 4, $971 million is what that ended up at the box office. And I think this one has more cultural significance. It has Minecraft behind it. Meaning that all of my kids wanted to come home and play Minecraft. Like, they have not played for a while and they want to go. They're singing the songs. I think that this one is going to hit $1 billion. I'm going to revise what I said before. I think it hits $1 billion. Even with the lower trend, because Mario ended up at 1.4 billion, right?
Well, here's the thing, and I want to bring this up, Jonas, just as I want to see if this changes your mind at all. I'm not trying to change your mind. I just want to see just in context. Okay, here's the deal. Despicable Me 4 was also a midsummer release. Everybody's out of school, right? So that's number one. I want you to also look at here. Here's Super Mario Brothers in the blue. Despicable Me 4 is in the red. So after 10 days, which is where we are right now, 180 million Despicable Me 4. Okay, 280 million for Minecraft. Bear in mind, we're not in summer, so usually Despicable Me kind of tends to lag further out. But 361 for Despicable Me 4 on the domestic side. Despicable Me had a $610 million international box office. Yeah. So that's where that thing really rocked and rolled. Did great in the domestic box office. Did almost twice as much in the international. Whereas we're seeing Minecraft is more weighted right now. It's more heavily weighted domestically than internationally, albeit no Japan, no South Korea yet.
And this sense of humor will not translate as well as the Despicable Me 4 sense of humor. This isn't even necessarily an American sense of humor. This is very specifically like an Idaho sense of humor.
An Idaho sense of humor. What the hell is an Idaho sense of humor?
Napoleon Dynamite and Nacho Libre.
Oh, okay. Got it. Yeah. So, culture.
I just thought that was quirky. I don't know about that being specific to Idaho.
I don't know. Maybe it's not Idaho itself, but they keep referencing Idaho in all of their movies, and like the Tater Tot Cannon, and the fact that it's Chugless, which I don't know if that's a real town. It's the town of Chugless and the Chugless potato chip factory. This was it's almost hipster.
I never noticed a lot of that.
Even more ironic than hipster.
Are you sure it's not Bozeman, Montana sense of humor?
Could be.
Why? Because you're watching the new season of 1923?
I know what culture's humor is. Branson, Missouri.
That's right. Yeah.
Make sure you're subscribed to Valiant Renegade and join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show.